Hi and welcome to another video tutorial. It's me again, Sonja from the Art of Stamping. I've recently created a few bright watercolor backgrounds on my cards, which a lot of you liked because it looked both controlled and random at the same time. By popular request, I've recreated such a background on today's card to share with you the technique I've used to realize it. I've sped up the process a bit so that the video doesn't get too long, but I think you can follow me nonetheless. For my panel, I'm using a Hero Arts background stamp called Looped Flower Pattern. Using my Misty and Versamark ink, I'm stamping it onto a piece of smooth watercolor paper. I'm using the Canson XL Aquarelle, which I think is quite reasonably priced while at the same time providing good quality for beginners and craft projects alike. You can, however, use whatever watercolor paper you have on hand, as long as it doesn't soak up the color too fast, but allows you to play with it a little before it dries into the paper. For a panel like mine, it's best to use a background stamp with thin and intricate lines that does not prevent the colors to show up and move around. The looped flower pattern is ideal, but you can surely use any other thin line stamp you have in your stash. After the stamping is done, I'm generously applying my embossing powder. The one I'm using here is plain white powder by Judy Kins. As you can see, I'm quite obsessed with a clean workspace, and I'm hugely afraid to blow my embossing powder all around the place with my heat tool, so I make sure that I put all powder away before I switch it on. So now the embossing is done, I can start to apply my colors. I'm working with distressings for this technique and only used 3 primaries: picked raspberry, mustard seed and peacock feathers. They easily blend together and form secondary colors on the panel, which makes me end up with a very bright and colorful background. I've dabbed the colors onto my craft sheet and spritzed them with a bit of water. After that, I'm reaching for my magic tool. Believe it or not, it's a disposable glove. This glove allows me to do ink smooshing in a somewhat controlled manner. It provides me with a slick, unporous surface that's no larger than my fingertip and just as controllable. I'm dabbing my finger first into the ink on my craft mat and then onto my background panel. Before I move on to the next color, I'm cleaning the glove with a rag or some kitchen paper. For a controlled blending, I start to apply the different colors with some distance to each other first and make sure not to touch the pure color again with the unclean glove after I've started blending. Once I've finished blending, I can always go back in to apply more color in areas where I think it's necessary. I can even add more color after the first layer of ink has dried. With the remaining ink on my craft sheet, I can add some splashes to my panel with the help of a wet paintbrush. And that is the whole secret of my background technique. I'm now finishing off my card with some die cutting, corner rounding, sentiment stamping and sequin placement. I'm not going to comment a lot on these steps anymore, but you're welcome to follow me along if you wish to. Here you see me choosing a piece that goes in the back of my panel. I die cut the rectangles from a pile of backgrounds I made a while ago and that were still laying on my desk. The pattern itself isn't really important because you won't recognize it on the finished card. Crucial was the color. I opted for the bright white background in the end because it adds a bit more dynamic to the card. Now this is something that might be of interest for you too. Here you see how I apply liquid adhesives to intricate die cuts. I squeeze out a bit of adhesive on a piece of scrap paper and use an old drawing nib to pick up the glue and transfer it onto the paper. I once saw a German artist on YouTube doing this on an awesome piece of 3D paper art and copied it from him. Unfortunately, I forgot his name, which is a shame because his work was really impressive. So if you might know whom I'm talking about, please give me a hint so that I can thank him for this trick. And that's it for my card today. Thanks for watching. Should you have any questions or remarks, just comment on my blog or in the YouTube section below. I'll try to answer them as good as I can. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Have a nice day. Bye!